This episode, discount tool retailers, aka Harbor Freight Northern Tool, versus the big box stores. Well, folks, it's an age-old discussion. Do you buy tools and equipment at the big box stores or at the discount retailers? So Johnny and I decided that we're going to have this discussion because we've got opinions on everything, like what we have an opinion on everything.
Like the old saying goes.
That's right. We're going to leave it alone. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Discount Tool Retailers versus the Big Box Stores. And to help me explain, you've already heard him a little bit, it's my old buddy Johnny. Johnny, what has been going on this week? Tell me a story or two.
Well, I don't want to keep talking about the same old stuff, but it's time to work on the deck again.
Jeez.
Hey, after putting all the wood down there, I gotta clean it all up, and now I gotta stain it in a whole bit. So
and seal it.
Seal it up. But
we did a show on that, didn't we? Didn't we do a show on sealing?
I think I don't recall. Probably.
Well, if we didn't, we need to. If we didn't, we need to.
But
I think we did.
Yeah, but it has been a lot of outside work. The weather has been getting really nice, and I'm sure all you folks out there are working outside in the yard. I mean, I've got I know you planted a bunch of either flowers. I think last time I was talking to you.
Yeah, I did. I got
all kinds of Yeah. I came back from being out of town, and my grass was about 3 feet high. It was like a jungle. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, it's one of those days. It's one of those times of year when, you leave for about a week and you come back and the whole place just
You're like, wait,
out.
That's not my house.
Boom. Yeah, it's not my. Yeah, really. Hey.
What
yeah,
happened?
and who? Yeah, unfortunately,
who maintains that dump?
Yeah, and who's been living it? The squatters living in it. So
I just don't know. We're not doing that show. I don't know. No, we can, but you don't want Larry's opinion on squatters. I know I have ways to get rid of them that So tell you what, if you want to know what I'll do if I have a squatter.
Yeah.
Send me an email, questions at Handyman Pros Radio Show, and I will send you a response. I will give you several ideas, and you're welcome to use them or not, and that's fine. And they're legal, by the way. Yeah. They are legal. Yeah. So therefore,
anyways,
state.
Larry, I was, I got hit up on my email about from Harbor Freight or Northern Tool, and I've been to both places before in the past. They're
Johnny?
not.
We have to say something first. Before we get started, folks, would you please hit like or subscribe on your email and or YouTube? By the way, we're doing both. Thanks. Okay. Back to Johnny. Go ahead, Johnny. So you're back at Northern
Yes.
Tool,
So I've been to both places. And there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Which brought up a discussion of, do you want to shop there and what do you want out of that versus a big box store or let's go, on the other side of the equation is, Snap-on tools.
Well, yeah. Right.
Okay. So let's kind of look at the metric on that. So,
yeah, I think we're going to kind of shelve the premium tools right now, folks. If you want to go down the ultra uber premium, route, you can do that on your own. Trust me, I have Snap-on tools. I love Snap-on tools for my mechanics tools.
Yes,
I have Snap-on tools.
That's what
for all that stuff. And I can tell you that if you're young, right? If you're young and you want tools for the rest of your life, you should look seriously at purchasing that sort of thing.
I'll put a disclaimer in there. I'll just say that if you are a mechanic, buy good tools.
Buy good tools, yes.
Okay.
But even in the home repair business, there really is a place for buying a better quality tool.
Yes.
And this really is not going to be a discussion so much about whose tools are better, right? It really isn't so much that. It's just we wanted to boil this down into remember that these other sources are available, and there are good tools at some of these discount retailers. They make some really decent tools. There's nothing wrong with what they sell. This is not and I know we're going to catch flack for that. Oh, it's junk. It's this, it's that. Whatever. Opinions.
And here's the other thing I'll say is, from the metric standpoint of how often are you going to use it?
Yeah, that's one
So
of my big ones. It's
yeah,
dependent
it's
upon
go
the
ahead.
job at hand and potential usage is what I call it, right? So I always use so I want to let's clarify one thing back too. So when I talk about a discount tool retailer, I use a couple of different sources in Atlanta. There's Harbor Freight, which I think everybody has a Harbor Freight somewhere close to them or they can access one. And I do like Harbor Freight. I go in there on a fairly regular basis. There are certain things that's kind of my default purchase store at, mostly because they have some things that the big box stores don't have. If you're doing metal work, like any kind of metal work, they have metalworking tools where the big box store is not quite so much. I mean, I was Johnny, I was polishing the boat the other day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's an aluminum pontoon boat. And I wanted to I didn't want to necessarily make it shiny, shiny. Well, I did, but I didn't want to put the time in to make it shiny, shiny polish, Airstream shiny. But I went to the big box stores because I'm in Home Depot and Lowe's all the time, and they have nothing to kind of to do
no,
that. They
no,
just
it's
don't.
not. No,
Yeah, they don't have any of that stuff. And I had actually forgotten. I went into Harbor Freight, and I'd actually forgotten how much there is to polishing metal. Like they have buffing wheels, and they have the whole
yeah, they got
gamut
the
of
whole thing.
supply.
Yeah, they do.
And the buffing compounds and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, well, that's interesting. I don't do that job very often, which is usually my basis for going into one of the quote discount retailers. If I don't do a job that often, I'm generally looking at the things that they have because it's almost a once and done. I can use it once and throw it away. And at the cost that they charge, I don't care at that point. It really doesn't matter. If I get more than one job out of it, it's even better, right? And that's my justification for it. If I don't use it if I'm not using it every day, let's just say I'm not buying not buying a cordless drill at one of the discount retailers. Now I'm not belittling their equipment. It's just that my battery setup is set up from somebody else, and I need more versatility than what they have as far
Yeah.
as numbers of tools and things like that. So that's how I determine it. How do you do it? What's your thing?
The same. Um, I look at it in terms of how often am I going to use it,
Yep.
and am I going to be aggravated with cheaper sloppiness in a tool? I mean, I'll just be honest. Is that if the I've just been a mechanic for a long time, and it translates into just about everything I do. From the point of I just like precision stuff. When I was using that one drill that I had, I hated that the chuck
The chuck
the
was
chuck
sloppy.
was a little
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
And did it really matter when you're drilling through wood? No, but you know
No.
what? It bothered me because it was. It's just I'm like, yeah, this isn't right.
It's
But
not like using
so
our Chapman tool sets, is it?
no,
No.
so that's a whole nother thing, folks. If you have go back and listen to our episode on really nice tools like Chapman, we're going to have that gentleman on
Yeah.
coming up.
Little
But
teaser.
now if I just sometimes I'll go and buy a cheap tool to see if it really does work, and then I might upgrade it later if I find myself using it more.
Yes. Yeah, well, and exactly. So back to you might start with the perceived lesser quality, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you are pleasantly surprised with how
Then
much
I
you
stay
actually
with
use
it.
it,
Then
you
I
can either stay with it or you can go. I've had really good luck with a lot of their pliers and stuff. And I have
yes.
one of those rolling nail pull, I call it it's a nipper actually, but I
Yeah.
use it to pull nails. It's got the two edges come together like
Yeah.
that and then you roll it out.
Yep.
That
Those
I
are nice.
Yeah, I bought that at actually at Harbor Freight, and I don't think I'll ever buy one from anywhere else because I saved a significant amount of money on it, and it works really, really well. Like really pleased. I always talk about my SDS concrete drill, which you have used,
Yep.
John. And
Yep.
originally, I justified it on that I had one job and I was drilling a lot of holes in concrete, and it just wasn't getting it with my drill. It was a time issue. It was taking forever. So I bit the bullet. I went down and I bought, and I was just like, I'm never going to use this again. Like literally, I'm like, I'm never going to use this thing again. Yeah, that was a lie. But my SDS drill that I bought at Harbor Freight is still going strong, and now has made us both, Johnny and John's borrowed it a couple times from me. It's made us quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
I still don't know if I'll step up to a better quality one.
I don't know why at this point.
Yeah, because it's
I
really
don't.
worked
It's
well.
it gets the job done, and I'll tell you, I drilled a whole bunch of holes with that thing in a pool deck.
Not that it was 52, but Johnny, it was
Yeah, it was
52 because you told me.
yeah. That's a whole nother story. I'm not, whatever they wanted. Um, but that thing just cut through that like butter,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know it was fine.
Yeah, it does the
I
work.
kept it lubricated on,
Of
but
course.
other than that, that thing, it got the job done. So, folks, if you're going to do stuff like that, there's a perfect example because that thing
It
was on.
was significant cost savings. It was
Yes.
$150 less than the brand name drill, SDS concrete drill. And I looked at renting one. It was the
So,
same price as renting.
okay, that is another good point.
Yep.
That's another good point. If you go out and you look at some specific job like we're talking about here, like drilling big holes in concrete and things like that, where you need an SDS type drill, go just look in how much it costs to rent versus go to, like a Harbor Freight to see how much on a discounter would charge to just buy the thing.
Yeah. Yep. Very much so. I'll
And,
give you another. I'll give you another one too. So I actually have a 110 volt. I think it's a 12-inch concrete saw. It's 10 or 12. I think it's 12. Anyway, size is kind of irrelevant. I was doing a job where we needed to cut a part of a slab out to lay a sewer line in, and we were going to put flooring over the top, which is why we were not trying to hydro drill it or anything like that. And anyway, long story short, I could buy the saw for less than I could rent one for. So I bought the saw. Now I've used it a couple of times since. I don't use it that much, but it justified the purchase. Now that I bought online at Amazon. Not gonna lie, I bought it on Amazon, but Amazon is another discount tool retailer that you have to understand is a huge resource for getting a lot of these things. But you can buy it, but it's not a name. They're not name brands. This is not. Well, actually, this one might be a name brand now, but at the time I bought it, it was new, and nobody had heard of them. And so I was like, yeah, I'll take a chance because I only had to cut like 12 feet, and it was.
I think we talked about this before, folks, is that, if you go out and you buy some of these tools and you say, well, I don't want to rent them and I can buy them cheaper, buy them cheaper. And then if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm never going to use it again, you know what? Put it on an
Put it
app
back
like
out for sale.
Next Door or something, Next Door or whatever, and say, hey,
Facebook
man,
Marketplace.
I got this, and
Yeah, I tell people that about scaffolding all the time.
exactly.
Like, scaffolding is one of those things that when you need it, you absolutely need it. There's no doubt about it. The problem is that it's expensive to rent and you have to move it usually, which is really
Yeah.
a pain. And you can buy it and turn around and resell it, and you're at a rental rate, it's way less than renting it. Plus you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
how long you need to, you're not on the clock, if you want
Right.
to call it
Right.
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 You're not on the clock.
Yeah.
And so, you do have to think about those things. I just want to touch back. So I want to talk a little bit about, just for a minute, I want to talk about the various different sources of supply on the discount side. One is Amazon. We touched on that already. One is Harbor Freight. The other one that is one of my go-tos is Northern Tool and Equipment. And folks, I don't know if you don't have them in your area, it's kind of one of the things that you might not. I don't know if they're quite as widespread. And then the other one is Central Tractor too, also, or Central Tractor Supply, excuse me.
Yeah.
That tells you how old I am and how long I've
Yeah.
been buying it. It used to be Central Tractor. That's a long time ago.
Yep.
Those three are kind of like all have really good discount tool supplies, but I use them all for different things. Northern Tool is really, really good for pressure washers and any kind of like land maintenance. They've got great chainsaw selections. Like if you want chainsaw stuff, they've got logging tools that, folks, I grew up on a farm. I've moved a lot of heavy logs, right? If you need a PV, they have it. You won't get that at your Tractor. You won't get that at Harbor Freight. You won't get that at Home Depot. You might get that at Tractor Supply, maybe, but they've got stuff like that. But their pressure washer selection stuff is outstanding. You need the fittings, the 22 millimeter fit. You can get from one thing to another at Northern Tool that you can't elsewhere, other than a pressure washer supply store, right?
Yeah, that's a great point, because guys, if you're around the pressure washers or anything like that, there's a whole bunch of different little adapters and this, that, and the other. And if you try to go to the big box stores like the Home Depots or Lowe's, you'll
be disappointed.
Yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. Yeah. And a lot of times on this kind of stuff, you want to get your hands on it. I mean, you can get it online, but you really want to get your hands on it, because you might have a piece with you that it needs to fit, and you're like, okay, I'm going back and forth on this. It's like, let's just get this done right now.
100% with you on that one. The other thing is when you go, this is one of my big things. I love to buy online, right? And I get it. Online is great if you know exactly what you're looking for. Okay. But if you're brainstorming something, and pressure washing can be brainstorming, you walk into that store and here's the aisle of stuff. You're like, oh, I can skin this cat a different way.
Yep.
I can do it this way. It's like plumbing. It's the same way. It's one of those things. You get in to do a plumbing job. Johnny was doing a plumbing job the other day. This is just kind of one of those things. And I was attaching to 1-inch PVC pipe for a main water line. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a shark bite fitting. And I looked at they had one where I was. They had one. It was $22 for the fitting. I'm like, all right, that'll really solve the problem, but it's a little pricey, for one fitting, $22. I thought, anyway, a little pricey. Yeah, well, guess what? If you neck that thing down to 3/4, which I was necking down to 3/4 anyway, we did that with PVC and a threaded PVC fitting. It was $3 versus the one fitting.
There
I was
you
like,
go.
Okay.
But the point's well taken. I mean, you walk in and you look at some stuff like that, and you can really do the picture in your head where it's, what am I trying to do here? And
exactly.
And you find stuff you never even knew existed.
Right. Exactly. And it's simple. And then you're into another realm of how to do things. And you can create markets doing that kind of stuff also.
Yeah. And I will tell you that one of the things is that what came to my attention was like I was building the cart for my grill on my deck, which we talked about.
Yep.
But I put casters on that thing.
Yep.
And when I wanted to buy bigger casters, but they're expensive at Home Depot.
Yep. But they're not at home. But they're not as expensive at both Harbor Freight or Northern Tool has them as well.
Right. Exactly. That's my point.
So it gives you it brings in a different problem solving equation, which is why it's really valuable to me to have these multiple sources.
And as well as, is doing things, guys, like if you're building like some specific cart that you're building for maybe it's stuff for your shop vac and your dust separator, and you want to build a cart to have both of those things together. And there's all kinds of stuff at these places that are really pretty reasonable.
And they're reasonable.
And you can just go in there and just say, man, this is exactly what I need for the project. And you'll save yourself a bunch of money.
You'll more than save yourself the money for the trip there.
Right.
But word of warning, when you walk around the store, do not buy everything you think you need.
Yeah, they do have it laid out that way, don't they? That's smart.
Of course they do, because it's also kind of like, we're tool guys. Guess what? We like tools. Oh, hey, so forth and so on. But there are so back. This whole show is about between this and the big box stores, and we're not belaboring the big box stores. There's things that guaranteed on a lot of these tools. I just buy, folks. I'm gonna give my unfettered opinion on shop vacs. Buy a rigid. My rigid, Johnny, keep waiting for my rigid to die.
I bought one. It
hasn't died. It's now 20 years old, and I do drywall with it, the whole thing. I'm like, come on, die so I can get a new one. Nope.
I bought one. I love that thing.
I get it.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
love it.
it's been bulletproof for
Yeah.
me. Like literally, my problem right now with my rigid vacuum is I can't get the hose for it because I have the old style attachment fittings.
Yeah.
That's where my problem is with my rigid tool. That's why I keep waiting for it to die. I'm like, well, I really want to add this, but I can't because I don't have the right
Yeah.
fitting, And I got it cobbled. Anyway, long
Yeah.
story short, that like some of this stuff is you're better to buy a little, a medium quality. It's medium
Well, it goes,
quality stuff,
yeah, and
right?
it goes right back to where we kind of start. It depends upon what you're going to do, and
Yeah,
and
depends on what you're doing.
I mean, look, if you're going to do a one-time thing, go look at some of the discounters.
Yeah.
If you're going
Yes.
to do this for like us as a handyman, and you need that tool over and over and over, yeah, buy a decent
Well,
tool for
buy
the
the
job.
buy the one that you can get parts for and that you can get the
Yeah,
stuff for it, easily, and that has lots of attachments. We've done whole shows on buying power tools and
yeah,
the ability to be versatile with it. We've also done shows on buying attachments, like for example, blades for your oscillating saw, where folks, that's really a best bought on Amazon. You can get it. It's a substantial price difference and so forth and so on. I want to touch on Northern Tool and Tractor Supply. If you're doing anything around the house, or if you have property maintenance to do, like big property, 10 plus acres, you need to take care of a big 10 plus acres. You need to look at those two sources. They have tools that are more suited for real property maintenance and big property. Like, you want to buy a tractor, you can buy one at Northern Tool. A true like tractor. Um, Understand that stuff is out there, and if you don't dabble in that world very much, look at those two sources. Chemicals and stuff. Look at Tractor Supply for chemicals, like if you want lots of glyphosate, meaning you want to buy 2.5 gallons, look at there, or Southern States or something. Look at a farm store. You can get the stuff there that you won't get otherwise. It's kind of funny. We're in planting season, Johnny. I go to Tractor Supply to buy my seeds because they have like a lot of different like, not that you just, not like you go into the big box store and they've got 2 brands. No, they've got like 8 brands, like, here, this is what they do. So understand some of the differences in where these things specialize. We already talked about Harbor Freight has a lot of metalworking stuff that Home Depot and Lowe's does not have.
and Tractor Supply. I'll add this is that, hey, you know what? If you're looking for work clothes,
Tractor Supply has work clothes. They do, and they're decent.
and
work
they're good. Oh
they
yeah.
actually are carrying Carhartt now too.
Oh yeah.
If you really want
Oh yeah.
name brand stuff, they've got that. But in general, they've got decent work clothes that are farm. I hate to say farm rated, but farm rated
Yeah.
is a little better than Walmart, whatever you want. I'm not belittling any of that stuff, not at all. But they got decent stuff, and some of that stuff, you can't get it elsewhere. Some of it, it's harder to find. You're not going to find it just anywhere. So yeah.
No, that's well, point well taken. That's all good stuff right there.
Yeah.
So
Do we have anything else on this, Johnny? I'm just sort of thinking, have we
no,
touched
I think
bases
it
on
all kind of boiled down to saving some time and money here. And the reasons why you want to go to some of these places.
Yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
kind of think it through. But if you've never been to one of these places and you're wondering what it's all about, I hope this kind of gives you a little bit of a background on that. So you kind of have to go and experience it for yourself.
You do need to experience it. Let's just cut. I want to cut to one example. Okay. If you're buying nitrile gloves, disposable rubber gloves.
Yeah.
Right. Home Depot, it's going to cost you around $15 for a box of them. Harbor Freight, it's like 8.
Yeah.
It's like literally half.
Yeah.
And they're virtually identical.
The same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They're virtually identical. I suppose there's some difference, but I haven't figured out what it is yet. And mill to mill, same thickness. I mean, it's just, and for me, those are consumables. I'm throwing them away anyway. I'm going for the lower cost in that case when I'm there. Now, some things I won't buy there, like their hardware in general is not the greatest. It's inexpensive China, stuff. But again, for truly disposable things, paper towels and stuff, believe it or not, shop towels, those thicker quality, better shop towels, I buy that stuff at Harbor Freight. It's half the cost of Home Depot and things like that, and Lowe's. So those are real numbers for you on that. All right. With that, Johnny.
With that, Larry.
I was when the spaceship landed, and right before they that thing that they like to do. They were using towels, and I noticed they were actually buying them
at Harbor Freight.
at Harbor Freight. I was like,
at Stellar. It's Stellar Freight.
it's the Interstellar. Wow, it never ceases to. Folks, we do make this shit up.
All right.
I'm just telling you, we do this on the fly. This is not scripted. This is not a scripted show. All right. With that, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, send us an email, questions at handymanprosradioshow.com. We love the feedback, all that good groovy stuff. All right, Johnny, take us home, baby.
Yeah, I want to also say thank you for the comments and things you guys have been leaving on our YouTube channel and stuff. So I got to get out there and answer some of that. So, but I appreciate it. Those are all great ideas and suggestions, and we love what you're saying. So, anyways, folks, have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.